Hey everyone, what is up? Aaron Lovejoy here for Miniature Monthly, and you just signed up for the Fundamentals of Blending class. And this is your supply checklist as well as the miniature prep video for that class. All right, are you ready to do this? Here we go. Bam! Throat chop. Like that. Hit you right in the throat. Let's do this. All right, so first things first, you need a wet palette. I don't care how you do it. If you just use a plastic plate and a sponge, whatever, or a Masterson's wet palette, get yourself a wet palette. We're gonna need it for this class. You're also gonna need parchment paper to put inside of your wet palette. That's what your paint goes on. Very important, get some parchment paper. Just the regular stuff, Reynolds Works. Good to go. Okay, so first thing you're gonna need is a good brush or a good set of brushes. So we're gonna be going with some synthetic brushes. These are the artillery brushes, size 6 artillery brush from Monument. Let me get that into focus there. These are really good brushes. Any old synthetic brush will work though. You can get the size 8 Wapple brushes, which look something like these ones over here. Of course, go way far away. So you're gonna wanna need some synthetic brushes. You can see that the Monument brushes are huge. Probably a little bit better head than that, but you got a fairly decent brush, maybe a brand new one, be a good idea. So that's your synthetic brush. You need one or two of those, whatever, one will work. We can also get some Kolinsky Sable brushes, like this size 1 will be great. You probably don't want to go smaller than a size 1, so I would go size 1 or 2. In the Monument brushes, I think even a size 3 would work. Not too bad. So we're not doing like major small details and stuff. We are just, we're learning to apply paint. So we're gonna need a little bit bigger brushes, not too small. Smallest one, maybe a size 1, I think is good. You will also need paper towels and a paint water cup to wash your brush out. So we've got all those supplies. What kind of paints are we gonna be using? And that is the important part. And here is where this class gets, I've always been like, choose your paints type of thing, but I think it's very important for this particular class that we have consistent paints. We need to have the same paints. So if you can, pick these up. I've got Brilliant Red here from Reaper. Mountain Stone from Reaper. These are all Reaper paints, so it makes it easy. Copper Verdigris, and some of these paints we have used in other classes, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to buy them again. Succubus Kiss, this is an important one. Make sure you get that one. Plus, it's a fantastic color. I tried to pick good colors too. Bright Turquoise, grab that. We're doing white and black. These two can technically be whatever brand you want, but we do need a white and a black. Dragon Blue. It's important. Twilight Purple, and 2 colors from the N&M class, or 2 more colors from the N&M class is the Gold Base and the Gold Shadow. So those are the colors we want. Now, I'm going to ask you, shake these things up good before the class, like maybe right 10, 20 minutes before class, shake the ever-living crud out of your paint. I mean, just shake them. Have your wife shake them for you, have your kids. You can make it a family affair and everyone just sits around and shakes paint. But I want these paints shaken up real good so that when we get into class, they will all be behaving properly and you'll get a better idea of the capabilities of these different paints. So we're going to be playing around with lots of different paints. We're going to be using any and all of them in every class. So make sure you have those paints ready for class. And yeah. So let's take a look at the models that we're going to be doing in class as well. These ones, you can choose whatever models you want, but I think these are kind of fun models. This Great Obelisk of Cthulhu is a super cool model. You need at least one of these, possibly 2. I got 5. You can't see them back there, but there's a whole stack of these obelisks in the back there. We're also going to need a set of gaming bases. We put in the Reaper 32mm gaming bases, but I'm sure you have these laying around. But grab yourself a handful of bases because we will be painting on those as well. So remember, we're learning how to blend. we're not learning how to paint a model. So we are going to get down to the nitty gritty for the basics of blending. One of the other models that we're going to do is this dumpster. It's the newer dumpster. I could have chosen the old dumpster that we've used for weathering classes and stuff, but this new dumpster is really good. And shoot, I just wanted to paint on it. So you're going to need one of these, possibly two. We've got 4 classes to go through, and we're going to be doing a lot of painting on these things. Now, you can always reprime in between classes, but like I said, I bought a bunch of them just so that I could practice over and over again with the techniques. And that's what we're going to be doing. In fact, we're going to be doing the same techniques over and over again with different paints just to see what happens. All right, so we've got those. Now, I know he can't have a painting class without a figure, so I picked Darius the Blue. He's one of the brand new ones, made in the USA, Bones USA. These are really good. They're actually really nice miniatures. Reaper's done a great job with their in-house production, I think, right off the bat. So I grabbed 5 of these at 2, so we could play around each week painting on them, and I think I'm just gonna paint one myself anyways for my own collection. So if you want, pick yourself up one of these, or have a model that's like an actual figurine that you can apply some of the techniques that you're learning in the class. But like I said, most of the techniques will be done on your flat plastic bases. I know, super boring. The Cthulhu, not as boring, but still kind of boring. And the Dipsy Dumpster. Those are our main class miniatures. Those are the ones we're going to be slapping paint onto and trying to figure out how to blend on a miniature. Let's start with our Darius the Blue. Or actually, he's an optional model. So let's start with our Cthulhu. I don't know about you, but I love opening up these blister packs from Reaper. I don't know why, but I do. I really like it. So on this one, technically we're just practicing again. It doesn't really matter how clean they are or not, but we're blending. And also I think it's a great idea to practice cleaning your models for that special day when you're entering a contest and you got to clean it up really good. So let's go ahead and give this a once over real quick. You can kind of see where the mold line goes across the top here. Maybe you can't see. This is very, very light. Move my... There we go. You can see that mold line right there. And it goes down, I think actually goes down the center of this side. You can see it right there, and then it goes across. There's also a mold line down here. So yeah, again, stuff like down here isn't going to matter too much, but we might as well figure out how to clean those off anyways. So one thing I found with bones, and of course I'm do as I say, don't do as I do. Have a nice sharp blade. This one is actually really dull. So it is a bad model for these bones. Little bit sharper the blade, the more it carves. Bones material doesn't seem to shave very well, or if it does, everything sticks to itself. So it's a major pain in the butt. So if you can just carve away these mold lines, like here I'm just using my scalpel. So I guess I should go over my tools real quick. So I've got a straight knife, a rounded X-Acto, a rounded scalpel blade, which is really good. I've also got a pair of these heavy-duty sprue cutters. I don't know where I got those, but man, they're like really chunky. And then we've also got a little file here, which we may or may not use on bones. In fact, I've never even tried it, so let's try it right here. Because why not? So I'm filing very, very lightly, very gingerly, filing this model down. There we go. I think the file actually works pretty good. Now the key will be is that it doesn't clog my file. That. get this. There's like a double, there's definitely a double mold line right here. So there's one that goes sideways down the side of this, or horizontally, and then there's one that goes vertically. I mean, part of me is like, I know for my normal classes when I at cons, I don't bother cleaning all these mold lines off because that would take forever to clean everyone's model. However, I do think since it's only 1 or 2 that you're doing, or maybe you're like me, a crackhead, and got 5 to practice on. I mean, shoot, these are great for terrain for playing games with. It's always good to practice getting these mold lines off, especially if you only got a couple to do. So, especially on these bones, because bones in particular are a little bit harder to deal with as far as mold lines go. It's a very common problem around the world. So, we'll get this little area. Another reason to get these mold lines off is if we're practicing a blend right over a mold line. Let's say you've put blends on every single corner of this thing, and now you're doing this middle section, and you're like, oh shoot, I gotta do a blend right there. It can kind of mess you up. And we're trying to avoid any problems like that, just bad cleanup work. So, get that. I'll do this little spot right here. And around the outside edge, I think this will be a much easier place. Ouch. Have you ever stabbed yourself with a file? Because I have. Who stabs himself with a file? That's got to be like the craziest thing. So I'll just kind of run this around here like this. And I won't bore you with doing all the way around, but let's get this like that. I believe there is a mold line. Yes, I think. Is it coming down here or did it go down the edge? Ah, it came down the edge. Awesome, 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 awesome. So you see it's right up here on this tentacle right here. It is really good practice on these models because you get into these really tight areas where it's hard to get the mold line, and you still gotta get it. You gotta get that mold line. Otherwise, if this was a competition piece or something, you would you'd be up the creek without a paddle. All right. Can I get all those areas? I'll check this side. I think on this side the mold line comes down this front side. So you just want to be careful you don't completely shave the side of this tentacle off and make it flat. Something like this. All right, cool. Okay. So that is this guy. Now let's do our bones dumpster. This one actually requires a little bit of putting everything together. So let me move this back a little bit. Just This was a bad day to not wear shorts. Oh, no, I actually am wearing shorts. Don't you worry. Okay, so this one comes in several different pieces. Let's see what we got here. We got these smaller pieces. Let's go ahead and trim those off right away. I don't know if they fell off the sprue or they're already cut off the sprue when you get them. I like these dumpsters because they actually use the harder plastic on them. I don't think we need to do any, well, maybe. Just a little bit down the edge. You want to take that mold line off. Again, let's get good. You know, if you want to get your blends better, you might as well be good at cleaning your models too, right? So the first major contest that I ever entered was, well, it wasn't. It was just at the local game store, but it was a major contest to me. I did this conversion where I had a Carnifex and I cut the head apart. It was a metal model back then, and I cut the head apart, opened the mouth up, gave him teeth. You know, did a major conversion on this model, painted it to my best ability. All that work, and I didn't take any of the mold lines off. And I remember I didn't win. I actually got second place, which was pretty good considering I left all the mold lines on. But yeah, so that was bad. After that, I realized you got to take the mold lines off, and at that point I had 3 armies, and you know, it is what it is. But so I had to shave all the mold lines off all these painted figures, and but you know, at the end it was still pretty cool. So let's get all these mold lines off. This. There we go. This other piece, it's a little mold line, or not a mold line, but a little bit right in there. This one, the mold lines must be really, really right on the edges, so we won't worry about that too much. I think this is a piece. So this is why you always make sure not to throw any like just random plastic bits away, because I'm pretty sure this is a piece that looks like a molded piece to something. So we're going to hold on to that. Oh, there's several of them. So yes, these pieces are definitely, you don't want to throw these away. So we'll get the edges trimmed off. Maybe I'll even use my file a little bit to get that nice and flat. I'm always making sure everything's trimmed good, because even if it's a spot where it's not even going to show up, like it goes under another piece, you don't want there to be any sprue left on it, because you will you'll be in trouble when you start putting it together. Those sprues will hold the parts apart. So okay, so we got those. And this. That. There's another little of that same piece right there. So maybe when you get yours, it will all be on the sprue, but mine wasn't, which doesn't really matter. But I'm going to hold on to the sprue for a little bit. I mean, it's clearly empty, but you never know. Maybe there's a little part to that needs to come off. So I always save my sprues for everything until I've gotten the model completely put together. Then I throw away the sprue. So we'll get those parts clipped off. You notice this little area right here, and we'll close in on this. Like that. This looks like it's going to be a top part. It's going to be seen. So I'll take the mold line off of there. It's right down the middle. I think the mold line goes right along the edge here, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a token scrape. Just like that, like this. these little pieces, the one connector point is right here. Get that cleaned off. I do token scraping all the way around. Little pieces. So where was the, oh, it's right here. So there's like a little divot right here, so you kind of want to be careful. If you're afraid, cut them straight down like this to cut it into smaller bits. Like that. We'll do our token scrape right there. So when you do it like that, instead of like, because if I came down in this side, it'd be okay on this side, but maybe I'd cut into the other side. So doing it that way kind of allows you to cut in smaller chunks. Bada boom, bada bing. Very cool. All right, we got all those pieces. Let me get all my shavings off here. What a mess. All right. So to glue this together, we've got, and I'm gonna glue the whole thing together because I'm not gonna put it together in bits and pieces and stuff. I've got the Profix glue and some Instaset to set it up there. So is there like a hole in the bottom? I'm not sure. So you know what I'm gonna do, because this is all falling apart. I'm gonna do what I would tell most people not to do, and I'm gonna start gluing things together because I'm pretty darn sure this goes exactly like this. I'll get this piece in right here, push it together. Very nice. Get that one solid like that, and I'm gonna grab myself a paper towel. I'm going to pull this back a little bit so you can see what we're doing here. This paper towel, I'm going to run it along this bottom part, make sure that there's nothing beading up. Got that like that. I think we can do this other side too. Because it doesn't look like there's anything like in the way. Like it doesn't look like we need to put anything else on before this, so I think that will work. Funny thing is, I think we can actually put these railings on without putting the door in, because it looks like these little doors just slide in around them. No. This side. So it looks like these little doors will slide in and they'll just slide right back out. So let's go ahead and put those on. I'm going to put a little bead of glue on here. Just like that. And we'll do the other side like this. So I don't think there's any way you can screw that up. They fit. There's a little L shape here at the bottom of each one, L shape at the bottom of each of these, so that lines up perfectly. So you can't really put these on wrong. Well, I'm sure somebody could figure it out, but technically you should not be able to put them on wrong. Just put that glue right in my finger. Rub that off. Okay, so we got that piece on. Let's do this last one. And there we have it. So you notice there's a little bead of glue in there. So you don't want to put that that door in right now. And I will run my little wicking thing. I just take a paper towel and spin it like this. And I want to try to get any and all glue that's in there out so that it doesn't mess with my door later. So I've got that on there. Perfect. Another way to avoid that is by not putting as much glue on. Where did our last piece go? Lost it. Goodness. I'm like out of control here. Oh, they're all on. Duh. Okay, so we got all those pieces on. This piece is obviously, I'm guessing it's this side right here. So now that we have those one pieces on, we can kind of fake this a little bit. So I'm going to put that there. No, it goes the other way. Ah, I see. Okay, so you've got these curved out areas right here. That's for this piece right there. So this will go on just like this. And this makes a lot more sense. So now these doors are going to fit down right here. And oh, I see. That one piece clamps them down right there. So it's going to go like this. So it's all coming together now. These pieces, you just kind of shove them in. The nubs are just small enough. So you don't want to be putting this on and taking it off a bunch of times because it will start wearing down that part. And that will be bad. So we'll put these pieces in right here and just kind of shove it in or push up in the middle. Just a hair. That opens that up. All right. So now we got those. I'm guessing that you could put them together a couple different ways. You know, these things on the outsides, but I think it looks kind of cooler right in the middle. It's like little handles for people to open this up. There we go. So that opens up that way. These things are going to be in here, and you can put them in this way or the other way. And basically, it's a little handle that allows it to slide backwards and forwards. So we'll leave these out for now, though, to let that glue dry real good. Otherwise, if we put it in, it's probably going to glue there solid. So that being said, how's this going to go? Wonder. I think this will go on the inside. So this is the inside side of it. There's a little bevel down here. That bevel goes up against there. So we can put this in. Probably could have put it in a step further or sooner, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, you just pop it in like that. Perfect. So that will fit in like this. So this kind of gives it some strength back there. So I'm just going to pop this off again. Run a bead of glue around this bottom section. You know, I always do these videos for my classes, but I'm really glad I did it this time because I think there would have been a lot of questions about this. So we'll push this out. Maybe we'll just slide it in like that, all the way down. Click those things in, just like that. Perfect. And then we run a bead of glue around the top of all this. Put this top piece on. And voila. Gypsy dumpster's done. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so that was pretty easy. Now let's take a look. Whatever you do, don't lose these two little doors here. And you can always wait till the end. You can prime them first or put them in later. I would wait for that glue to dry really good inside there and then put them in. If they're a little bit too tight, you can always file away the edges just a little bit, because maybe that glue, if it beads up too much on the inside there, it'll be kind of hard to get. So to get on there. So our two sprues, those things we can throw away. Good to go. While we're at it, we'll pop open these bases just to see what they look like as well. So this is one of my pet peeves. A lot of times people don't clean their bases. So this one's fairly clean. There's a little bit of a tab right there from the injection point. No problem. But looking on these, there's a big old tab right there. And a lot of people just leave those on their bases, and I think it looks really, really tacky. So anyways, I'm going to encourage you to clean off your bases as well. Let's make everything look super professional and clean. And it just kind of gets us in the state of mind of making things perfect. Or at least trying to. So being a little bit more attention to detail and all that stuff. So we'll get those. Some of them you might have to clip from the bottom, just like that. So boom, boom, boom. Got all these taken care of. Our last model is our Darius the Blue. Pop him out. Now, we've got this wizard right here. This plastic is different than bones. Look at that. It's really rigid. Wow. Very cool. Thought there was an air bubble there, but there isn't. Very nice. So this stuff, you may actually be able to file it a little bit better. I don't know. Or scrape. So, bones don't really scrape very well. But let's see if the US bones, can we file it? This is actually the first time I've worked with this material, so go like that. Scrape all that away. Let's try a scalpel. So I think just like bones, a sharper blade will do you well here. But I like it. And I like the fact that they don't bend at all. A little bit more rigid. Now, I don't know what that does to the casting quality, but it looks pretty tight. If you look at this model up close, I think that's pretty good detail. So we've got some obvious mold lines here. We have a couple right here. That's weird. Looks like there's one right there and a second one down below it, and there's the one up here. So I think we're gonna need to file these from the top. You ever played Guess the Sculptor? Wonder who sculpted this one. I'm gonna guess Bobby Jackson. Am I right? Darius the Blue. Bobby Jackson right there. Now you'd probably say you looked at that, but sometimes I can just tell Bobby's work. I really like Bobby Jackson's sculpts. I like everybody's sculpts, but Bobby definitely has a distinct style all to his own, and this one kind of looked like a Bobby Jackson, and it was. So, My big question right now is how am I going to get inside this part right there. I'm still thinking about it. So definitely, like when you file it, it files, but then it sticks to itself. So you want to do a sort of a file and scrape like this. So get those parts. This side over here. Cut flat areas into there, which was bad, so I'll round it back out with my file here. Like I said, you don't have to do this, but I think it's good practice nonetheless. All right, so this one down here is going to be a little bit tighter, a little bit harder to do. So the one down on the bottom of his arm, okay, I will just start it with my file. That, scrape using the side of that scalpel because it's really sharp. You can kind of scrape away that mold line. So I tried to cut that one first, and then that went badly. So I think definitely you want to file first, and then do the side scrape with the scalpel second. If you don't have a scalpel, use like a brand new X-Acto blade, something that's very sharp. So I really like this material because it's harder, but part of me doesn't like it because it's a little bit harder to clean as well. Like if you see on this side, it kind of just tears at the plastic with when I was filing it. So. This is going to be hard getting into these areas right here. So we'll just try to do the best we can. That's where this rounded knife on the scalpel works really good. You can also get the round shapes on X-Acto knives. They are definitely bigger though, so you might not be able to get it down in these cracks and crevices right here. Now another alternative you can use is actually go in there with with some putty and try to sculpt a really thin layer there on the one side, on this side of the groove right there, and just try to erase it that way. But that's kind of a pain in the butt. A little bit more advanced. If you're not real good at putty, that can turn into a hot mess as well. But you see, I'm starting to get it. Just got to be persistent. Take your time. That's my biggest problem. I'm too impatient, so I just wanna get it now. Like, do it now. All right, so we got that. There is another mold line coming down right here. Let's see if there's another one on this side. Some of this you got to be real careful to come back in here and just real lightly scrape. Try to get it smooth again. I'm sure that they are playing around with their formulas too for the plastic. So because they gotta, you gotta be able to get the models out of the mold. That's a problem. And but you also got to be able to work with it. So this is definitely a little bit harder than I'm normally used to. But I think that you just take your time, you can get it. If you do this on this model and then, you just go and work on a normal plastic model or a metal model after this, probably be a lot easier. So you'd be like, oh yeah. No problem at all. I got the little mold line off right there. I think it goes down the side of his sleeve there. Yes, and there's a little bit of a mold line right there. So it's barely even visible. Got that. So this is going to be another really hard one, but let's see if we can't get it. Kind of working my blade around so that I can kind of get the top edge or point of that blade right on the mold line itself and just kind of try to obliterate it, basically. Part of me is like, okay, this part under his beard can't really be seen. But if this was a contest situation, a judge would be looking for stuff like this, so we need to get it anyways. All right, I think that works. Let's make sure this one over here is good. So end of the day, the rock star for these is a scalpel or a very, very fresh knife. Also needs to be rounded on the tip so you can get into these weird, hard to reach areas. Get this, finish off this sleeve, because you see the line is right there. That is really weird that there's a double mold line here. That might have just been, sometimes molds actually have 3 or 4 pieces. They're multi-part. I don't think Reaper's molds would have that though, but you never know. Or, yeah, I don't know why there would be that there. But there's definitely 2 mold lines here on the side. We got it. I think we got it. I also found slowing down your scraping. Go slower. Make sure that you know, it does scrape off the plastic you want it to scrape off, and it doesn't scrape off more than that. Got that. I love that. He has these little bitty eyebrows. Pretty cool. So, get all that. Wipe this down. Probably take a toothpick to it to kind of get any small bits of plastic off. Get it as smooth as possible before we prime. There we go. So we've got our wizard, got our Cthulhu, and we've got our Dipsy Dumpster. Oops. Which glued to my paper. So we've got our Dipsy Dumpster here, both of those, and we've also got a bunch of these bases. So those are the pieces you need. You could have fresh ones for each of the classes, or you could do these 3, repaint them each time, reprime them each time, and you'd be good to go as well. So whatever you want to do is great, but we definitely need these big surfaces, big smooth surfaces to blend on. They're the hardest ones to blend on, so especially stuff like this, very hard to blend on. So there we go. Get your models ready. The next segment, we are going to prime these things.